Hello, parents. My name is Amber. I am the preschool director and teacher at Calipuya Christian Preschool. I am the one that you will be in contact with. If you need any help, feel free to contact me. Most of you have my cell phone number. I'll give that out to you again. It's 360-870-9950. Don't be alarmed if I call you from my cell phone versus the church phone. I am more on my cell phone than I am at the church. Each week you will be getting a packet until I can make monthly packets. With this whole COVID thing, we've kind of been out of sorts with how to be able to get on top of everything because things change by the minute pretty much. So you will get a packet each week until we can make it monthly. In the packet, you will get lesson plans. And the lesson plans I have will look like this. They will give you the different activities across the top, and then each day is down here. So you're following the lesson plans horizontally with the activities going vertically. So this week's lesson plans are 2 pages. We don't have school on Monday because it's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Tuesday, Wednesday's on 2 pages, then Thursday and Friday. So we're going to go through those lesson plans really quick so that you know how the activities work. So we start off our day with prayer, flag salute, and calendar, and then a story. The calendar and the story I have recorded so that you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to do all of the days of different books and things like that. Calendar also, we work on patterns and we work on numbers during that time. And so I figured that was a pretty good thing to be able to give in to you guys. So those will be coming out with recordings, and I'll be emailing you these lesson plans with the YouTube links attached to it for each day. So that way you have everything organized. Next for Tuesday, we have shake hands. You are going to have a little bag. It looks like this. It has 2 stickers in it. What you're going to do is stick one of those stickers on your right hand and one on your child's hand, and that tells you that it goes sticker to sticker. The goal is to be able to practice shaking hands, waving hands, showing that there is a right hand versus a left hand. The goal is not to show dominance of hands. So if your child is more drawn to pick up a crayon with their right hand, by all means, that's great to note. That's something that we look for as teachers. If they go for a crayon with their left hand, there's no harm in that either. At this point in their development, they're still figuring out what hand works best for them. And so their development won't usually end up, or their hand dominance won't usually end up picking up until usually around 5 or 6 is when they decide what hand they're going to use, unless you have a very hand dominant child. The next is you are going to do an activity with wood pieces, and there's a song that goes with it. Now, I traced the wood pieces and I put them in a bag and I labeled them wood pieces for you. Now, in this bag, we don't call them sticks. We don't call them lines. We do call them lines. We have a big line. We have a little line. So we don't use the word small, we use little line. We have a big curve, and we have a little curve. Now, these are really important. I have one set for you and one set for your child to be able to use in their or in your make home classroom. And so the goal with these is to be able to build letters. You can build all of the letters with these shapes or with these lines and curves, depending on what it is. And so as we go throughout the year, I will be feeding you more of these until you have enough to be able to make all of the letters. But with short timing, I wanted to make sure that I could at least get these out to you. Next is our math and numbers, which is where we're going to classify same and different. So this goes back to that bag. I have 4 squares in here. 3 are green, 1 is purple. The goal of this is to ask your child How are these the same? The goal should be they're all the same size. They're all the same shape. They come up with very creative things. So it could be anything that ends up coming up. You might need to encourage them into doing this. Then you're going to ask the question, what is different? The goal with this is that one is purple. And so you can also do this with coins. If you have 3 dimes and a penny, that would work really well. Or you can use 3 of any same coin and then 1 of a different coin. It's pretty fun to see their answers, especially with money, because sometimes they'll go, well, 1 is dirty or 1 is clean. And so it's interesting to see what they notice that's the same. But this bag is also labeled Tuesday. The next thing that we have for you is a My First Day of Pre-K page. This is where they're going to draw a picture of themselves. Now, most children are not developmentally there yet in order to be able to draw a body. And so you will most likely end up with a head with arms and legs coming out of it. It's one of the last things to develop. They don't understand that there's like a midsection, and that's something that we will get to throughout the preschool year is we get into what we call Mat Man. And so Mat Man is super fun, where it teaches you that it teaches them that there's a body. And then after we teach that, then by golly, guess what? All of their drawings have bodies. And so this is something that'll be fun to hold on to, especially for memories down the line. It also will show their development throughout the year. So what I'd recommend doing is just putting it back in that folder. I also labeled it on the back with Tuesday so that you know what day it's supposed to be on. Next is Do You Hear What I Hear, which is for language and literacy. This is a song that I will have linked in. It's through Learning Without Tears. They are the curriculum that we use. They have a whole bunch of songs, and some of them are songs, some of them are spoken. This one is an actual song, and it has a whole bunch of sounds that come along with it. I'd recommend pausing the video after each sound and ask them, what did you hear? What makes that sound? And that way you're able to have that conversation with your child of different sounds. And there's, you might hear a moo. And so when you ask your child, what did you hear? They'd go moo. When you ask what makes that sound, you'd go a cow. Or they would go a cow. And so it just depends on where your child is developmentally. But also don't push your child in any one direction or the other. The goal is to create mental independence. Next is on our lesson plans Wednesday. And so again, we're going to start off our day with what I have labeled as circle time. So it's prayer, flag salute, and calendar, and a story. And then we have shake hands again. And so you can either use the same sticker, or you can put a mark on their hand. You can put something else on their hand just to make a note that this is the hand. I'd recommend also doing it for you. Whenever I do it with the kids, I will do a dot of paint or something like that on the back of their hand. And then it also gives them something to be able to, when you go to teach them how to wash their hands, it teaches them to scrub really well to try to get that dot off. Tip for the wise. So if you have other family or people in the house who are also home, you can have them go around and practice either shaking hands or waving with that hand. So that way it gets them more noted on this is the hand that you use in order to do things. Or the dominant hand, since we live in a right-handed world. Sorry, left-handers. The next thing that we're going to do for math and numbers is tables ready. This is a very interesting activity to be able to see. If you have another child, I would recommend doing this during their school break or during a time where your preschool aged child can help with this, especially because it's working on one-to-one correspondence. What that means is you're going to get out some plates from the cupboard. They could be paper, plastic. It could be a circle that you've drawn on paper and cut out. Whatever it is, it could be a bowl. Use different plates or bowls or things that you would set food on. And it can be snack time for this. The goal for this is you get a plate, you get a plate, you get a plate, you get a cup, you get a cup, you get a cup, and then like you get a cracker, you get a cracker, you get a cracker. So it's one-to-one correspondence. And I'd highly recommend asking your child to say, one for you, 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 one for you. It might seem like a small task, and your child might be able to do this 100% like the first time, but it's interesting to see that one-to-one correspondence because a lot of children don't necessarily pick up on the fact that there is a correspondence at all between that. It's just kind of something that is. So the goal is to be able to bring recognition to that. And it's actually a very important task. Next, we have circles and bubbles. Next we have circles and bubbles. This is an activity page. I went over in our child development segment on here, but I'll go over it again really quick. Children learn to do lines and curves in different orders. The first thing that they will usually be able to do is up and down. And so a lot of children will be able to color this in up and down. The next thing to discover is side to side, so horizontally. And so you might be able to just watch your child and see where they're at with their lines. The next thing to develop is diagonals. Those are really hard for students to be able to kind of figure out. It just depends on where they are, again, developmentally. And then the last thing to develop is circles. So we want to really be able to encourage students to fill this out towards their developmental subset. So if they only are able to do up and down, by all means, let them color it up and down. If they are if they're able to do side to side and up and down, by all means, let them do it. So again, this sheet is labeled Wednesday. Any questions that you have, feel free to either text me or give me a call, or we can FaceTime, whatever needs to happen to be able to go over some different strategies for you if needed. The next is fishing for letters. I have 2 bags for you. One is labeled ABC letter cards, capitals only. And then this one is labeled 1, 2, 3 number cards. What you're going to do is you'll mix these up and put them in a box or a paper bag or something that you can't really see through. Then you're going to reach in and grab one of the cards. You'll pull it out and you'll go, look, I caught a, and then hopefully it'll be either a letter or a number, because that should be the only thing in the bag. And then you'll go, this is a letter, or this is a number. We're going to put the letter on the letter bag, or any numbers, go ahead and put back in the box, because we only go to 10 on our number cards right now. And so the goal of this is to be able to identify numbers and letters. Children have an interesting time with letters and numbers. This, again, is a developmental thing to be able to identify different patterns in letters and numbers. If you'll notice, if you look at a P, B, D, and Q, all of those letters are just shifted or flipped, so they're all the same. A 3 and an E, you just flip, and it's very similar. The goal of this is to be able to identify letters and numbers. It can be very hard for students, especially at this age, for them to be able to identify that. So the goal of this is, with your assistance and your guidance, to be able to identify letters and numbers. Also, you'll notice some of them look a little funky. The reason for this is because learning without tears teaches you that you always start the letters and numbers at the top. There's a few in there that are like special that you don't, like some of them you start in the middle. It depends on what letter it is. But all of these, you'll notice that there's a small little smiley face in the corner. And so the goal of it is to show students that you start in this top corner, or in the top left corner. And so you'll be able to, sorry, left for you is over here. And so the goal of this is to be able to show students that you start in the top left corner. So they'll do as straight of a line as possible. So a 6 is straight down like a 1, and then it loops over to a 6, or loops over into a small O to make it 6. So letter and number cards I have provided for you. The next activity is Thursday, where we start off again with circle time. And then we go prayer, flag, calendar, calendar and story. Then we have the wood pieces activity. Again, oops, I just dumped the wood pieces on the ground. So then we have the wood pieces activity, and there's also a song that goes along with it that I will have linked in the description. And then we have an activity called in or out, toss and shout. The goal of this is to learn the vocabulary in and out. So what you'll do is you'll make a circle with something. It could be rope. It could be yarn that you have. It could be objects that you have. So like it might be like a cord that was left over, or like an extension cord, something like that. A small or a smaller circle. A hula hoop is what we use in the classroom. The next thing that you'll do is you'll have small little objects. This could be little toys. This could be socks. It could be whatever you end up having around the house. The goal of this is to be able to throw that small object into the circle or around the circle. And the goal of it is to be, was this in or was this out? And to be able to ask that question. So you'll start at the circle. You'll take 5 big steps out. I highly recommend counting, especially showing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how we count for, or we use our fingers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The goal of this entire activity is just to be able to use the vocabulary, make it a fun game. It doesn't matter if it's in or out. So it doesn't, like if you see that they tossed it out, then you might toss yours in. And then you're like, oh, look, this one, is it in or out? And asking them that question. It is in is the goal, is to be able to talk in full sentences. And then the next activity is the Clifford headband. This will go with the Clifford Counts book. And the goal of this is you're going to be, I have a heart, and I recommend that you use like little safety scissors with your kids. Just watch them. You want to teach them that you use your 3 fingers. Sometimes they'll end up using 4, and their pinky will kind of stick out. But the goal of this is stick the 2 fingers down, 3 fingers. The 2 fingers get stuck together in the bigger one. The thumb gets stuck, and the scissors blade gets out. Obviously, we know how to use scissors. And then it would teach them, you might draw a line up the heart, so that way they're able to cut kind of straight. But yeah, heart, cut. And then I gave you 2 pieces to be able to glue together to make a headband. And then, or you can staple them, whatever it is. And then half the sides, or half of the heart will go on either side to make a Clifford headband. This is your Thursday activity. I did not write Thursday on it because I figured it would be a cute thing to be able for them to keep. And it would be awkward with Thursday written on it. The next thing that you're going to do is guess the sound. This activity, what you're going to do is have your child close their eyes. You're going to then make a sound. So example, you could knock down blocks, you could clap, you can shut a door, ask them what sound they heard. When they answer, tell them good job, and then you can switch jobs. So then they're the ones that are doing it. So they might like blow on a bottle or things like that. So it just different sounds. This kind of goes with that Tuesday activity as well with the song Hurry Burry is what it is. Next is Friday's activity, circle time. Again, we're going to start off with prayer, flag, salute, calendar, and story. Then we're going to do a little sing along. So this is where you're going to have 2 YouTube links to the songs. The first one is the ABCs, and the second one is 10 Little Fingers. 10 Little Fingers is a stretching of the fingers song. So it's I have 10 fingers, and then it'll go through 10 fingers up, 10 fingers down, 10 finger, I can, there's one that's like cup my hands. There's one, or I know it ends with sleep tight. And so it's been a moment since I've heard it. But definitely just follow the directions with that one. It's a super easy song to be able to do. It's one of those spoken ones. And so I like the spoken songs because it's a lot less of a tune to it. The next is socks and shoes. This goes with, again, that Wednesday activity with that one-to-one correspondence. So what you'll do is you'll get 3 pairs of shoes. It could be their shoes. It could be your shoes. It could be a mix of all the family's shoes. It could be whatever it is, but you'll get 3 pairs of shoes and 3 pairs of socks. Then you're going to ask how many socks go in the shoes, or like how many pairs of socks. So you can start off with the bunches of socks together. So you have your 2 socks goes with 1 pair of shoes. And then you break it down, 1 sock to each shoe. And break it down that way. Again, it's that one-to-one correspondence. Again, it's a super interesting activity because sometimes it doesn't quite click. And then all of a sudden you kind of see that click. Next is super shapes. So circles are the last shape for children to develop the skill to. And so we have super shapes. You're going to trace each circle, and then, your child will trace the circle, and then they'll color the circles. The goal of this is to also not hit the hexagons or the octagons, or the triangles or squares or rectangles, the other shapes. So the goal is to be able to identify those circles. And notice that circles are continuous and not edged at all. So that's super shapes. And then the last activity works with those letter and number cards again. So here's those letter and number cards. Again, they're labeled letter, number. I tried to make it as easy as possible for you. And then the goal of this activity is you're going to mix up the letters and number cards and then help your child identify it as a letter or number. So this time you're just going to go through, you'll have them in a stack. You'll go, is this a letter or a number? Let's think about it. And so you might sing the alphabet song. You might try to count with them. You might have a number line in front of them, or an alphabet line where they can go up and try to match it. It just kind of depends on what you have available as well. You might be able to like pull something up on your phone too, where they're able to see that. So those are your lesson plans that I have. Again, if you have any questions or need modifications, anything like that, feel free to give me a call or a text or an email. I'm pretty active on the social media as well to be able to pick that up. So yeah, those are our lesson plans for this week. Thank you.